I'm supposed to say something now. I'm going to tell you first off, I damn near dropped dead when I and
how's the wheel going?
Approaching 90 years of age, I guess it's time to think about that. But I will have a birthday in a few weeks, and I'll be 90. And I'll tell you that all of the years that I spent in racing was exactly what I wanted to do. How many of you, when you were young, decided what you wanted to do and did it? Very few. The first race I ever saw, when I went home, I told my mother and father, I want to get into auto racing, and I'd like to be an announcer. I listened to 20 Graham Steinbach for a lot of years. He was the announcer back in those days, in the 30s. And I used to think that 20 did a great job, but he missed a few things. And I said, if I could ever announce a race, I would include these things, because people want to know that. When I sat in a grandstand and watched a race, I wanted to know certain things that no one ever told me. But when I started announcing, I tried to tell people things that I thought they wanted to hear. I enjoyed every race I ever announced. I enjoyed it more than the people that were paying to watch it. I always said I probably would announce if they didn't pay me, but I never told the promoter that.
You wouldn't have remembered.
But speaking of being shocked like I was this afternoon, you know, in 1962, I was the guest of honor at the Banquet of Champions at the Aragon Ballroom. I'm sure some of you might have been there at that affair. But I knew about this months in advance. It wasn't a shock. Today, you really shocked an old man. I can't believe that there's this many dedicated racing people still around that remember me, because I've been out of it 20 years. I quit when I was 70 because I thought I had enough. Not only that, I was arguing with Pete Jennings. You know, as I look back over racing, I'll tell you how it all started, really. I was a fan from 1936 to 38, and in 38 I bought a cheap camera and I started taking pictures at races. In 38 and 39, and then in 1940, when Wally Zale and Art Foles had Raceway Park, they asked me if I could score races. And midget racing was easy to score, so I did that. And then I spent 3.5 years in the Army. And when I came back out of the Army, I started going to races again, of course. And in 1946, in the winter, Lou Scally and Martin Wiswald decided that they were in the Class B midget division, and they were furnishing 60% of the cars and getting 10% of the purse. So they decided to start their own division, and the UARA was born. I was involved with them because I was writing for the newspaper, and I knew all of these fellas, and I started following their races when they opened at Hanson Park in 1947. And a couple of people, Red Kimball, for example, he was an ex-driver, and he was an officer of the UARA. he knew that I wanted to announce races. And he told Lou Scally that. And Lou Scally called me up and asked me if I would like to try announcing at Hanson Park on the northwest side, their first midget races. And I said, I'll try it, and if I don't do any good, you can fire me. I did it that night. The first night I announced a race, I don't remember too much about it, but I must have done a pretty good job. Pete Jennin, Bud Kaler, and Nick Jennin were in the grandstand because they wanted to see how this new midget organization was going to work out. They came down after the race and asked me if I'd like to announce at Raceway Park. It's the first race I ever did. And they said, would you like to announce a race? I thought they were kidding. That next Saturday I announced at Raceway Park. That was the start of 42 years in Raceway. But 2 weeks after that, Art Foles was promoting the midgets at Soldier Field, and he called and asked if I wanted to announce at Soldier Field. And I said, this can't be. So I started announcing at Soldier Field. In 1948, the next year, Art Foles called me in at Soldier Field and he said, you have to make up your mind. Either you announce at Soldier Field or Raceway Park. I said, well, you just leased Soldier Field. Raceway Park is owned by somebody. I'll go there. I went to Raceway Park. It was the right move. I worked at Raceway for 42 years, from 47 to 89, and I wish I was still there.
So do these guys.
I'll tell you, Raceway Park had the greatest racing that I've ever seen, and I saw a lot of racing in a lot of areas. But I've always said that if you didn't see Bud Kaler, Bob Tronger, and Bill Van Allen in the same race, you haven't seen a race. Those three guys could put on the greatest shows I've ever seen. And I announced a lot of races beside Raceway. I did 125 races for the UARA in 46, 47, and 48. Actually, I announced races in 7 states. I went with the UARA to Arkansas and announced the series down there. I announced for Al Sweeney big kart races in Iowa and Nebraska. I got a lot of racing in on the side when Raceway wasn't working, you know. That wasn't very often. But I just can't believe this turnout today. I didn't know anything about this. A lot of people have asked me if I was surprised. That's not the answer. I was, yeah, I was in trouble. You can't do that to an old man.
You still look young though, Wayne.
And I find out now that the kids knew about this. Darlene and Wayne Jr. and Craig, they knew about it. Boots didn't know about it, huh?
She's not in trouble?
The only one.
She would have leaked.
Yeah, she'd have leaked.
But just think, and all you people are missing that beautiful NASCAR race.
Just started. Primary into the race.
NASCAR is the most boring thing I've ever seen. Yesterday, my wife turned on the truck race from California. There wasn't as many people in there as there was at Raceway in their dying days. I don't know whether NASCAR is on its way out or whether the economy is that bad. But Louis Panico.
He did have a birthday.
Danny Collier, I guess, is responsible for this.
Yes, sir.
Danny's always been my friend. Danny and Penny. Danny told me that this was Louis Panico's birthday party. Hell, he's just a kid. He's only 82. I'll tell you what, though, Lou. You were around Raceway a lot of years. If Paul Bex gets that Raceway Park book out, I'm sure your name will be in there.
King of the team racers.
Louis Panico, the teen race king. How many remember Panico versus Johnny Skipper, team race? Exciting. And how about Tom Anthony? Remember Tom Anthony?
Yes.
After the team race was over, he used to flip every night just to give the crowd a thrill. And so many of these guys are gone.
It's fine. I don't want to interrupt the view.
Okay.
All I can say is I want to thank every one of you for being here. If I haven't had a chance to shake your hand, I'll still like to do it. If I don't hear everything you say, you have to excuse me because I got these cheap hearing aids. That's the only thing that's failed so far on me. Is my hearing. Believe that, you'll have to ask somebody older than me. But I really appreciate this. I don't know what to say. I'm really in shock. I'm so proud of the fact that there's so many people that still think that I deserve credit for something that I did for fun and got paid. But, well.
Well, we're glad it just didn't kill you.
Well, I am too.
The ambulance is standing by.
Yeah, right. The ambulance is in the parking lot.
I said I might need a doctor and a nurse, and of course Penny is a nurse, so I don't know if we got a doctor here or not.
2 for 3. 1 for 3.
I think I'm going to get over it. I had a little vodka there, that helped.
Wayne, you got a funny story of Raceway? One of the funniest
Oh, I got a
races?
few, but I can't tell them.
Over yours next.
No, I'm just glad that I've survived this. And like I said,